Well, I've had a really horrible day, so if I completely screw this up, please bear with me. But yeah, before I get into anything deep, I want to start with a question, and I hope you all play along with me. And I will point and make eye contact, so I ask you to play. Raise your hand if you believe you have a talent. Lego, cooking, cleaning. No, 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 hands up, hands up, hands up. Keep your hands up. Oh, louder? Okay, cool. Sorry, my bad. Right, okay, I'm seeing hands. Great, great, great. You'll notice I didn't put my hand up. And the reason I didn't put my hand up is because I personally believe I have zero talents whatsoever. Some people may be standing here and be like, that's ridiculous. You have at least one talent, something you're good at. I don't agree with that. I've spent my whole life chasing and being obsessed with talent, developing skills, finding something that's my skill alone to have. And yet till this day, I don't feel like I have a single one. A lot of people that know me personally will tell you I'm lying. They will say, Tommy cooks amazing food. He gets very good grades. He gives pretty good financial advice. And growing up during that 2008 recession, you get a great incentive to become financially literate. So yeah, but still to this day, I don't have any talents in my opinion. Why does this matter? On the surface, it looks good. You have a skill, something that belongs to you. When you join a company and they ask you, what's your fun fact? You have something to say. It makes things so much easier for you. But if you're like me, you might turn around and say, I breathe really good. I hope nobody has ever said that. I haven't said that. But on a deeper level, I think talent is an invitation to belong. It's a gateway to connection. It's like your passport. When you're talented, people invite you in. They want to learn from you. They want to talk to you. They want to hear more, see more. They want to be around you and absorb what you have to offer. So, if talent equals belonging, what is it when you're not talented? That's a question we're going to explore later. So, another question, hands up again. And I want you to keep your hand in the air this time. You started 2026, maybe the week before the year started, or maybe the day the year started. You wrote somewhere, this is my year. I'm going to develop this new talent, this new skill. Put your hand up if you had something like that. Yeah? Okay. Now, keep your hands up, keep your hands up. Lower your hand if you were unable to stay consistent with that for longer than a week. 2 weeks? 3? A month? Okay, thank God, people are dropping their hands. I'd be in the wrong crowd. But anybody who's kept their hand up, fair play to you, lots of respect. You can drop your hand now. Now, that consistency to keep going, even when you fail, it's a nasty feeling. And when you drop your hand, I want you to think for a second. What did you feel? Some people may say, oh, it just happens. Some people may say, oh, it's okay. But for me, I feel disgust. Strong disgust. And someone's probably sitting there, maybe in your head like, whoa, relax, it's not that deep. But to me it is. I'm a passionate person. I feel things quite passionately. And that disgusting feeling you get in your soul can sometimes be a fuel to allow you to achieve anything you want in this life. So, let's get on to talent and what builds a talent. Most people say there's two components to talent. Actually having the natural talent itself and practice/consistency. I argue there's three in different ways. The first one, I believe, is aptitude. Second one is discipline. And third one is something that not a lot of people talk about. And I just call it simply being real. If we go through these three, aptitude. What have you experienced in your life during the formative years where you were growing up? The environment you were raised in, the people that raised you, what you simply experienced in this life. One thing about it is that it's fairly circumstantial. You have absolutely no choice for let's say the first decade of your life in terms of what you experienced. The second is discipline. Discipline is that voice in your head that says, do it, get up, wake up at 6 a.m. You said you were going to do this last night, do it today. It's the practice with grit. Being real, in my opinion, is that ability to look in the mirror and say to yourself, I failed. I didn't do it today. I'm going to try again. And when you pair or mash all of these three components together, I believe you get a recipe for success no matter where you go in this life. I'm going to tell you a funny story about how all of these three played into a moment in my life. So we've had a few mentions of COVID, which has been sad. So I'm going to take you way before COVID, back to 2017, Christmas break. I worked in Nando's for the whole time I was in university. And for anybody that's worked in retail, hospitality, a bar, a restaurant, you will know there's busy days and then there's busy days. Yeah. So I was in on an 8-hour shift on the week of Christmas. It was either the 22nd or 23rd. Wow, that's bad traffic. 22nd, 23rd, and this was a hellish day. So we're gonna do some visualization here, right? The door was packed out. I mean, there was a queue outside the door. Orders on the screen was full. We literally had someone choking in the corner, fighting a manager for a refund. That was the kind of day I was walking into. And I remember at the time, working back a house on the grills, everyone around me was pissed off. There was an energy, a negative energy that was being thrown around the place. And I remember looking around and thinking to myself, I should have called in sick. But no, to be honest, I thought to myself, this is really shit. Why are we in a situation that we are panicking and stressing about something so simple, so benign, something that's going to end? So I did what any normal human being would do in that moment, and I said, yo, as loud as I could. Yo, 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 yo. The whole restaurant went quiet. All eyes on me. I think I was about maybe 18, 19 at the time, and I said, shouldn't have done that. But everyone's looking at me now. The grillers, even the customers. And I said something along the lines of, we're not working as a team. Everybody's doing something differently. It's a mess. We need to stop. Take a breather, and remember, at the end of the day, it's just chicken and chips. And coleslaw. I don't discriminate. If you like your side, whatever you like. With that moment, the whole dynamic shifted. I asked the coordinators, what are the top 5, 10 orders you need straight away? Something along the lines of 10 chicken wings, 5 wraps. I was helping wherever I could help. It was so fun, in fact, that we actually broke out into a cappella. Nelly, it's getting hot in here. On the grills. Very inappropriate, but that's how locked in we were. We changed from disoriented staff members to having fun and going as fast as we could. So what did this mean for me? A few days later, 2 managers call me over and they tell me, what you did, that was pretty impressive. We want to try out a new role and we want you to do it. Me? I'm only a year in. I don't even think I'm that good. But they were like, no, we want you to do it. And I said, okay, I'll do it. So I walk out the restaurant, cloud 9, gassed. I was like, yes, finally, I've shown my worth. But now looking back at that time, I think to myself that that was probably one of the few moments in my life that I really felt talented at something. But what did that mean for me? It meant I belonged. It meant that my skills were accepted by those who I thought were better than me, quite simply. I worked with really good people back then. And that allowed me to develop relationships with some of these people that are still holding strong till this day. Some of my most cherished lifelong friends, all from chicken and chips. It meant that I was really skilled. So, we have 3 words that I threw out earlier: aptitude, discipline, being real. And I'm going to tell you how that played into this story. Aptitude, right? My family are full of foodies. We love to eat. Me and my siblings should be arrested for how we eat. It is not a pretty sight. It's not a beautiful sight, I'll tell you that much. At the same time, my parents are Nigerian. Education isn't passive. You aim for the stars, you have no choice but land on the clouds. There's nothing lower than a B. That was just life. So I'm used to stress. In that situation, I didn't fold. Discipline. Like I said, at the time I was only a year into the job. I didn't think I was any good. But I still showed up. Day in, day out. Straight from the gym, into work. Straight from college, into work. Chilling with my girlfriend, into work. Straight in. It was just the life I built for myself, and I just kept rolling and rolling and rolling until it was just normal for me. And then being real, the last component that matters to me the most. I grew up in a place called Terrellstown with a lot of rowdy guys. The guys who wanted to be men before they were men. You wanted to be heard? Live and direct, loud. You get your message across. But back to aptitude, I was also raised by my parents to be polite, listen, quiet, behave. And in that moment in Nando's on that awful shift, I chose to break away from that and be my authentic self. Live and direct, and I shouted, yo. Carrying on, and as I was saying, we've had those moments. I'm a generalist at heart. I still have no skills to this day. I strive to learn something new every year, and I fail to do it again and again and again. This year is Japanese. Last year was piano. The year before that was guitar. I have not mastered a single one of those, but I'm still trying. My Duolingo streak is still going strong. And I used to think this was a flaw, being a generalist. Not having those skills that are celebrated. The pianist, the physicist, the therapist. But then I realized that I often find myself in rooms where you don't see a lot of people like me. Quite often, I'm either the youngest in the room, or I'm the only African in the room. And on top of that, I'm tatted, I'm quite tall, and I have a sense of fashion. I'm here in pink shoes. I stand out when I'm just trying to stand in. And it works in a really weird way. My personality has gotten me into places on so many occasions that it shocks me every time that I'm in those situations. Another example was the final stage of an interview I had for a job, and the interviewer asked me, what is gRPC? It's some networking protocol to communicate between microservices. No one cares about that today. Because I'm so used to this cycle of failing and feeling disgusted and going again, within 5 seconds, I said, no, you tell me. Silence. It was really awkward. And I was like, oh, Tomi, you've just done it again. But that got me the job. Me and this person were friends, and he told me that there are people that gave better solutions, had way more experience. But the fact that within a split second, I admitted my fault, told him I had no idea what he was talking about, and asked him about it. To which he also said he had no idea what it was. So I was like, gotcha. It worked. So before we go today, I want to leave you with something. Discipline is the most easily attainable talent that any human can achieve. Reason being is because you don't need to have a gift to be disciplined. You don't have to have a stellar childhood. You don't have to have the genetics for it. You don't have to be chosen to be disciplined. You just need to have a choice. The choice to embrace that nasty, ugly, disgusting feeling when you have failed to do something you said you were going to do, or the choice of comfort when you quit. We like to choose the former over the latter, I hope, in this room. And earlier I asked the question, raise your hand if you have a talent. I want to rephrase that question and ask again, because I believe talent enables belonging. But talent just doesn't simply come naturally. Some people. But for most of us, the majority of us, that talent is something you build, which means you build a belonging for yourself. So I'm going to ask again, and I hope all of you will raise your hand when I ask. Raise your hand if you want to belong. You want to belong in your job. You want to belong in your community. You want to belong in your own skin. Without discipline, which I believe is a core fundamental block to that, you simply can't. And once you embrace that nasty, ugly feeling of disgust, and you repeat that cycle again and again and again, you will realize that disgustingly real discipline creates the beautiful belonging that allows you to flow wherever you feel like. Thank you. All right,